Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We used to do about 30 shows, visit about 30 shows a year, but it's been cut down considerably because of the pandemic. But we went to this year's fancy food show, and one of the nicest products we found was Olivia's Croutons. What's more than that, so they were so good, we asked them to come on the program. And we have with us today Francie Caccavo. She's here to talk about a product which I can heartily recommend. And you know I don't usually do that. So anyway, Francie, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Don. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to talk about Olivia's Croutons anytime.
Okay, but first we're going to talk about you. And
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself, and a little personal background, then a little bit about the company, and finally a website.
So I started Olivia's Croutons 32 years ago, I believe. I had two young children. I was working in a family business and I was thinking I wanted to do something different. Wasn't sure what that would be, but knew that I wanted to spend as much time as I could at home with my kids. So I was at a dinner party at my brother's house one night, and we had these amazing homemade croutons and kind of a light bulb effect. I just was like, wow, this is awesome. And this is something that nobody can buy. At the time, I think there were just a couple of brands of those little tiny, we call them styrofoamy croutons. And unless you made them yourself or you were lucky enough to have a bakery nearby that made some with their day old bread, croutons were sort of a dirty word. So we start experimenting, my husband and I, making croutons, and we found there was just such an extreme difference between what we could make and package and make available to people that we really felt like we had a niche opportunity in the supermarkets to bring this product to market. So we did.
Have you been in business how long?
Gosh. So 1991, I guess we're, 31, 32, we're on our 32nd year. So starting from my own home kitchen, we built a small commercial kitchen in our basement, 400 square feet. And then we bought a small building, 2,000 square feet. And then we renovated a farm and redid 1912 dairy barn into a beautiful commercial kitchen in 2006. We still live there. It's a farm. It's awesome. And then in 2017, we moved into this new facility, 35,000 square feet, very much a commercial building. But yes, we've kind of evolved, and we're still keeping on.
Well, where are you located?
We are in Brandon, Vermont, in a little hamlet called Forestdale. Beautiful spot. We have a lot of local employees who work for us here, but it's lovely.
Yeah. And well, now a website for people before we go any further.
Yes, oliviascroutons.com. So that's OLIVIASCROUTONS.com. So we do sell off of our website. Also a lot of information, some pictures, some recipes you'll find there. Love to interact with people. So give us a shout. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and soon to be TikTok, which didn't think I'd ever say that.
Okay. And you also said you're available on Amazon as well.
Yes, we do sell. We sell in multi-packs on Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, it's a really cost-effective way to get the product. If you buy from us, unfortunately, the Postal Service or UPS take a big chunk to get our croutons to you. So, but we'll ship them to you if you want them.
But you're also available in supermarkets and places, right?
Yes, we do. We're in a lot of co-ops and natural food stores. That was our first sort of venture into the market. And then we've slowly gotten into some of the larger supermarkets. Again, something that's probably has a little bit of a leaning towards natural and healthy foods. You're more apt to find us in those kinds of stores.
Well, let's back up a minute and let's talk about that. Croutons are in effect uh, toasted bread, if I remember my what cooking I know. Am I right on that?
Yes, but there's a lot of different kinds of bread and there's a lot of different kinds of things that you can put on bread to make different kinds of croutons. I think when you look at a commercial crouton, from some of the major like commercial brands, you're looking at a piece of bread that's been dried and then some seasoning has been put on the outside of it. So with Olivia's, what we have done is we've gone back to taking the fresh bread, which we make all of our own breads, and cubing it, seasoning it when it's fresh. So they're like little sponges. So they soak up all of the different seasonings. We make everything from scratch. We use only whole ingredients. So our butter and garlic is real butter, fresh garlic, some seasonings. It's delicious. Parmesan pepper. We use a fresh grated Parmesan cheese. So we're not using flavored oils. We're not using powdered seasonings. We're using the real thing. We say croutons you would make yourself if you had the time. So anything on our ingredient label you can find in your pantry.
Well, I know in 1984, well, that's going back a few years. I was talking to a man who ran Pepperidge Farms, and he said that Pepperidge Farm sold at the time 91% of all croutons sold commercially, which surprised me. And I just dredged out that figure preparing for this talk, and uh, he said, in supermarkets they had 91% of the marketplace.
Well, that's interesting. It's certainly changed. I don't even think they're making croutons anymore. So,
Well,
I
they
think,
hmm,
yeah, I think Fresh Gourmet is probably taken over for in their spot. So
oh well,
commercial croutons were only became available in the 70s. So, there wasn't such a thing until then.
hmm. Well, let's back up. I know you also do stuffings, which I want to talk about, but and this is a program about small business. And my next question is going to be, what are some of the problems that you overcame in your early years and now?
Well, I'm not sure we're totally overcome everything, but
Mhm.
money is always an issue. Running a small business is always a balancing act. Um, to make sure you make enough so that you can pay everybody that you owe. I think that as you grow, sometimes your problems just grow with you. I guess I shouldn't call it a problem. It's an opportunity. But yes, I think employees are also challenging sometimes in this market today. I think it more challenging than I've ever experienced. I've never had such a hard time bringing new employees on board. It's just, there just seems to be nobody available. And the cost of employees has increased significantly over the last, I would say, 2 years. I mean, we are having to attract workers. We're having to pay quite a bit more than we were before, which impacts the price of our product.
Mm. Well, let's talk about you. You're in a rural area, am I correct? Um,
That is true.
and you have to draw from a further a physical area, and I imagine because you don't have that many people. But you started out with local people. Are you still trying to keep local people?
For workers,
Yes.
yeah, it's very local. I think it's no public transportation. It's really you either walk to work if you're in our little hamlet here, or you need to have your own car. So it does present some challenges, whereas if you're in a little bit more of a metropolitan area, you can attract some employees that don't need to have a car. So it's just one more obstacle for us.
Well, I had someone else on one of my programs recently, and they said that where places like yours, where you were attracting local people, are being really impacted because other people are moving into the area and siphoning off people. Is that happening with you?
Not so much, not so much other employers stealing employees. I think we're all sort of in the same game. Um, we're all looking for employees, but I think what is happening a lot in Vermont is that a lot of the affordable housing, which in our area we did have a fair amount of affordable housing, is being bought up for second homes, and it's becoming more and more difficult for uh, normal people with normal incomes to live here. So I think we have lost some of our population because they can't afford to be here anymore. So
Well, okay, let's go back to your company. Um, uh, I know your products. We tried them all before we put on the program. Love them. Oh, you did a brand extension. You went into stuffings. Why did that occur? And why did it occur? And uh, just tell us about it.
So, I mean, it's a natural extension for us. And I think we started in 2002 with stuffing. And we had one of our distributors came to us and said, "Hey, can you make stuffing?" And we had during the holidays prior to this always put out little recipe cards using our croutons and stuffing with different stuffing recipes. And we thought, well, how hard can it be? So we did, formulate one. I think our traditional stuffing we formulated then, it was a mix of our French bread and a multi-grain bread seasoned with traditional poultry style seasonings. And it was really pretty successful. We only sold it through one distributor that year. I think we had a clear bag and a Avery label on it. So the next year we invested in some film and we put it in a bag, and then we had someone else who wanted some, so they wanted it to be cornbread, so we started to make cornbread. And then we started to make a gluten-free product years ago with another company or for another company, and then I think it was like 2009 we started to make our own branded product. And right away we started with stuffing because it was incredibly popular with our regular line. So we do make also the gluten-free croutons and the gluten-free stuffing.
Well, how do you manage your product? You have about 13 different or 14 different SKUs. How do you manage it? Do you do one SKU and then do a run and then do another SKU, or do you do things simultaneously?
No, we don't do anything simultaneously. um, so we might have multiple SKUs that come from one product. So we could be making, for instance, our butter and garlic, and we might be needing some retail bags, and then we may be needing some portion control bags, or we may be needing a bulk bag. So we will run one flavor, make all of the different end products that we need to make from that product, and then we switch to another one. We try obviously not to switch too often, because there's cost involved with that. But we do make multiple SKUs from one flavor. We run the two separate kitchens. When we moved here in 2017, we developed two separate kitchens, both pressure controlled kitchens, so we ensure food safety and allergen integrity. So we do run the gluten-free line at the same time as we run the conventional line. So we have two lines going at the same time.
Well, would you explain that? What is the pressure one versus the free line? I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean.
So it's the spaces are pressurized. So the air coming into the space is greater than the other spaces. So that ensures that there's no filtration of like for in the case of our gluten-free kitchen, there's no chance that there's some wheat flour dust coming into that kitchen because the air is always pushing out of that kitchen.
Oh,
So the gluten-free kitchen runs at the highest pressure. The conventional kitchen runs at the second pressure, and then the rest of the space, the outside space, the warehouse space is neutral. There's no pressure. So these kitchens are always like blowing off a little bit of air all the time to ensure, that there's no cross contamination.
well, gluten-free is one of the buzzwords of today. Do you find that it's becoming an increasing, obviously increasing, but do you think it will become the majority of your business in the
No,
future?
I don't think it'll be the majority of our business, but I think it's here to stay. I think you always wonder if something is a trend or not. I think when gluten-free happened, I'm trying to think the year, we were on it pretty early with the private label product, but it was we weren't sure, was it going to be just a passing fad, or was this something that was really going to be a health concern that people really gravitated to and made a part of their diet. And I think we found that not only it's not only about being celiac. There are a lot of people who just feel better when they don't have gluten in their diet, and whether they have an allergy or not, they've chosen a gluten-free diet, and I think they're very loyal to it. On Amazon, our gluten-free crouton is by far our best seller. So it's very interesting to watch. Me, I'm all for gluten full. So I love our classic flavors, our butter and garlic, our Parmesan pepper. They're two of our original flavors. They're my favorite. And honestly, something's missing when you don't have a really good crouton on your salad.
I won't argue with you on that. Your website again for people and how they can get your product?
Okay, well, we are at oliviascroutons.com. That's OLIVIASCROUTONS.com. And then again on Amazon, you can get them on Amazon. And I'll mention Olivia is our daughter's name. I didn't mention that, but we named this business. She was 3 when we started it, and so it's really named for her.
Mm. Are they joining you in the business?
No, neither our daughter or our son David are interested in the crouton business. They're both far, far away, California and Hawaii. But they like croutons, so we ship them out.
Well, this is a dangerous question to ask. It's still you and your husband?
Yeah, it is still I'm age, and that is a dangerous question to ask, because you think some marriages don't make it on their own, but when you throw in 24/7 work, play,
Mhm.
sleep, household, it's pretty intense, but we're a pretty magical partnership. He is very dedicated to Olivia's, and I couldn't do it without him.
Yeah, I've on this program, I found out I've asked that question and found out that divorced, and
Yeah, we've seen that. So we've seen that a lot of times. It's hard to work with your significant other.
mhm, I won't argue with you there, but the rewards are great for it. But having said that, what advice would you give someone starting out, or even in a business that you've learned that you'd impart to other people?
Have about 3 times as much money as you think you need to start. I guess that would be my first advice is, it squeaking by gets old. So I think being well capitalized takes a lot of stress off of running and growing a business. It's expensive to grow a business. Uh, Otherwise, I would say love it. If you don't love it, if you're not passionate about it, if you don't wake up every morning and like think about how you can make it better, then it's probably not going to be a good fit for you. when you own a business, it's it's bigger than a child. It requires a lot of you, and you need to be completely dedicated to it. Fortunately, as you grow, you can bring on people and grow the strength of your team. So it's not just you, but it's a big endeavor to own a business. It's nothing to be taken lightly.
But how have you financed your business?
We have how have we financed our business? Well, everything we own is in it, first of all. And we have been lucky enough to been financed through our local economic development agency, local banks. They helped us with our last move and renovation. We purchased this property and renovated it. So yeah, I mean, it's really out of pocket. We don't have any investors. We're just the two of us as owners, along with the banks. But yeah, we've done it all ourselves.
Hmm. Do you have an exit strategy?
Well, someday we'll probably sell. I'm 63 and my husband's 67 this year. And as much as we love to work all the time, we also love to travel and be with our children. We now have 3 beautiful grandchildren. And I have to say that pulls at my heartstrings. I love every moment I get to spend with them. So, but we do, we do have a strong team here at Olivia's, so we are able to get away, which is really nice. And they keep the show going when we're taking a break. So that's been a huge relief for us to be able to get away and know that the business is in good hands.
Well, have you ever thought with the ESOP of letting your employees buy the business at some point?
We really haven't investigated that. I mean, that certainly would be an option, but we haven't investigated that.
One last time, your website for our audience.
oliviascroutons.com. So OliviasCroutons.com.
Okay. What you have about a minute and a half. What would you like to leave our audience with?
The world's a better place with better croutons. So there's just if you're going to splurge and you're going to have a crouton and you're going to use those calories, make sure it's a darn good one. So if you don't make it yourself, I think we make the best option on the market for a commercial crouton.
That's a great way of ending it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.